Imagine you're holding your smartphone. Think for a second, what if the chip inside it, or the rare mineral used to make its screen, became almost impossible to get? What if the trade routes that bring your food, clothes, or medicine became battlegrounds? That's not science fiction. That's the reality unfolding between the United States and China right now. Over the next half hour, we'll journey through tariffs, export bans, diplomatic drama, and technology wars, all of which are reshaping the global order in your everyday life. To understand today's tension, we need to go back a few decades. After China began opening up under Deng Xiaoping, trade between China and the U.S. exploded. China became the world's factory. The U.S. became one of the biggest customers. Over time, the relationship had frictions, disputes over intellectual property, market access, state subsidies, but both sides benefited economically. Then, in the 2010s, China's ambitions grew sharper. Programs like Made in China 2025 laid out plans to dominate advanced industries: semiconductors, robotics, clean energy. The U.S., seeing both strategic and economic risks, began pushing back. Fast forward to 2025. Rising geopolitical rivalry, concerns over technology spillover, supply chain vulnerabilities exposed during COVID-19, and arguments over national security are increasingly defining the relationship. What was once mostly economic is now strategic too. Let's examine trade first: tariffs, retaliation, critical materials. In early 2025, the U.S. imposed sweeping tariffs, a baseline 10% tariff on all imports from many countries, plus higher rates for those with big trade deficits. China responded with its own retaliatory tariffs on U.S. agricultural goods, things like chicken, wheat, corn, cotton, and industrial goods, some with rates of 1015%. One key move: China imposed export restrictions or outright bans on several critical minerals: antimony, gallium, germanium, and superhard materials among them. These minerals are used in high-tech components and defense systems. The U.S., meanwhile, has been adding companies to its export control/entity lists, limiting their ability to import cutting-edge tech or dual-use goods. These measures ripple through global supply chains. For example, rare earth exports. China is a big player in processing many rare earths and critical minerals. Restrictions there impact everything from electronics to clean energy. Also, companies are increasingly exploring China Plus One or diversification strategies to avoid putting all their eggs in one basket. Some sectors are considering moving manufacturing or sourcing to ASEAN, India, or other regions. Next, technology, semiconductors, AI, export controls. This is where much of the strategic competition is playing out. The U.S. government has for years tightened controls on advanced computing and semiconductor manufacturing items destined for China. For instance, in 2022 and beyond, rules have been passed that limit Chinese firms' ability to import certain chip-making tools, high-performance AI chips, or components needed for producing advanced semiconductors. China isn't just taking this lying down. It has increased investment in its own tech ecosystem, building fabs, boosting R&D, trying to reduce dependency on foreign supplies. Also, export bans on minerals, restrictions on tech imports, e.g. recent orders to Chinese firms to stop buying certain NVIDIA AI chips, are part of a broader strategy. Beyond hardware, there's a battle over rules, norms, and governance, AI ethics, data flows, cybersecurity. For example, both countries are pushing different narratives around what is acceptable in AI use, export control policy, and data privacy. These aren't just corporate issues. They circle back to national security. Tech and trade don't exist in a vacuum. They are deeply intertwined with strategy, diplomacy, and sometimes military posturing. Very recently, there was a rare visit by U.S. lawmakers to Beijing, the first such House visit since 2019. Delegates met with China's defense minister, premier, vice premier, etc. Their goal: to improve military-to-military communication amid soaring tensions over trade, semiconductors, Taiwan, South China Sea. Also, in a phone call between presidents, U.S. and China, there was agreement to meet again at regional summits and explore more talks. These are signals that both sides at least see value in managing escalation. There are increasing concerns about incidents in the South China Sea, around Taiwan, and in air/maritime domains. These kinds of encounters heighten the risk of miscalculation. Military communication channels, which in some periods have been cut or scaled back, are now being tentatively restored. The U.S. is seeking to strengthen alliances with Japan, South Korea, EU, etc. China is responding with Belt and Road, trade/investment diplomacy, and by tightening control domestically on tech firms while emphasizing national security rhetoric. Another arena, talent. Changes in visa policy, scientific cooperation, brain drain/reverse brain drain dynamics are playing a role. For example, China is introducing visas to attract STEM talent internationally. So what are the consequences? Who wins, who loses? Disrupted supply chains raise costs. Tariffs increase prices for consumers, both in U.S. and globally. Inflationary pressures. Companies facing regulatory uncertainty may delay investment. Emerging markets might benefit if supply chains shift, but they also risk being dragged in, forced to pick sides, or suffer spillover effects, e.g. trade retaliations, loss of markets. In the U.S., sectors using critical minerals, semiconductors, AI stand to gain from increased federal investment, but also risk losing out if import bottlenecks or export restrictions hit them. In China, local firms have incentives to scale up capabilities, but growth is challenged by restrictions, foreign penalties, and the difficulty of catching up in extremely advanced tech areas. Misunderstandings at sea or air, military escalation, or cyber conflict are real dangers. Also, as trust erodes, possibilities for cooperation on climate, pandemics, global norms shrink. Looking ahead, here are a few possible paths. Number 1. Manage competition. A scenario in which both sides moderate some of the harsher measures, restrain escalation, negotiate clearer rules, preserve some trade and tech flows while recognizing strategic limits. Number 2. Decoupling and escalation. Increasing severance of supply chains, deeper export bans, more aggressive retaliation, alliances formed more clearly along fault lines. Number 3. Hybrid/selective cooperation. Cooperation in global issues like climate change, public health, but continuation of rivalry in trade, tech, and strategic arenas. Dynamic, shifting balances depending on issue. Triggers could include new technology breakthroughs, shifts in political leadership, catastrophic incidents, or global shocks, economic crisis, war, pandemics. So where does all this leave us? The rise in U.S.-China tensions isn't just about policy or politics. It's reshaping how our world works. What gadgets we use, what jobs are available, what countries partner with whom, and how powerful states protect themselves. As viewers, staying informed matters. Watch for major tech export regulations, for rare earth trade, for how supply chains move. Support transparency, demand accountability in your governments, and encourage global cooperation where possible. Ultimately, the question we face: do we head toward a fractured world of rivals, or a world where competition and cooperation find room to coexist? Thanks for watching. If you like this, hit the like button, share if you think this is important, and let me know in comments what future scenario you believe is most likely, or what you hope for.